Welcome to the Truth Hunter channel, your destination for captivating real stories that come with surprising twists. If you love the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. It truly supports our channel's growth. Let's jump right into the narrative. Aiden Bennett is my name. At 24 years old, I proudly hail from Cleveland, Ohio, where I was born and raised. My father spent his nights at a manufacturing plant while my mother dedicated her days to teaching third grade at a public school. We weren't destitute, but each dollar held significance. My parents consistently emphasized the importance of gratitude for what you possess, cautioning against jeopardizing everything for the pursuit of dreams. Yet, there was always this nagging feeling within me as if I was out of place. I craved something beyond the familiar neighborhood, the same faces, the monotonous routine that endlessly cycled. After graduating from Ohio State with a marketing degree, I packed just one suitcase and made my way to New York City. With no connections and no job in sight, I've managed to save a few $1,000s from delivering pizzas and tackling summer construction gigs. For the first 6 months, I navigated life by couch surfing, delivering food, and applying to every internship opportunity that crossed my path. After a long search, I finally discovered a small yet reputable agency known as Stone & Bloom. Their emphasis was on premium branding, luxury fashion, innovative tech startups, and exclusive boutique hotels. It wasn't Google or a huge advertising agency, but their sense of style was unmistakable. The moment I received the email for the interview is etched in my memory. I meticulously shaved 3 times to ensure not a single spot was overlooked, all while wearing the one blazer I owned. I felt a wave of nerves, but it seems I must have done something right as they extended an offer for an unpaid internship. 90 days. If I can leave a lasting impression, it might just lead to a genuine opportunity. Right from the start, I was the one responsible for getting coffee, printing presentations, and reserving conference rooms. However, it didn't matter to me. I agreed to it all. I worked late into the evening. I greeted everyone with a smile. I was striving for a brighter future, believing that if I put in enough effort, someone would eventually take notice. The individual in question was none other than Jay Morgan. She held a position as one of the senior project leads. In her early 40s, she was incredibly sharp, rarely smiled. Yet when she spoke, everyone in the room paid attention. In her presence, the office buzzed with a sense of urgency as everyone moved with purpose. She didn't evoke fear, she simply carried an air of seriousness. Her hair was consistently pulled back and her suits were impeccably sharp. She exuded a sense of self-assurance, as if she possessed a clear understanding of her identity and desires. I hoped she would see me for all the right reasons. It was a Tuesday morning at 9:41 a.m. when I made a rather foolish decision. A significant pitch was underway with a prospective client. The atmosphere was charged with tension. Just before the meeting kicked off, I was requested to bring bottled water into the boardroom. I carefully stacked 6 on a tray and hurried down the hall. I aimed to walk briskly, yet not excessively so. I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. My palms felt clammy. As I rounded the corner, my sneakers snagged on a loose piece of carpet. I stumbled slightly, just enough to cause one of the bottles to tip over. The cap was loose. As Jay Morgan meticulously reviewed her notes outside the boardroom, a sudden splash of cold water drenched her pristine white blouse. Tom seemed to stand still. She cast her gaze downward before lifting it to meet mine. I stood still, paralyzed in the moment. My stomach plummeted. My face flushed with warmth. I began to apologize right away, stumbling over my words like an idiot. "I sincerely apologize, Ms. Morgan. I missed it. I stumbled. Allow me to retrieve something." She remained calm. Not a single word escaped her lips. They met my gaze for a brief moment, then spoke in a steady, composed tone, "Stay after work." She pivoted and strode into the boardroom, drenched as if nothing was amiss. I believed that was the end of the line. I had reached my limit, completed. I found myself competing with at least 5 other interns on the list for a full-time position. I had my chance, and I missed it. I stood there, the empty tray gripped tightly in my hands, my heart racing, realizing, this is it. Tonight, I'm facing termination. The remainder of that day crawled by, heavy and slow like thick mud. I found it difficult to focus. My hands trembled as I typed out emails. I meticulously reviewed each task, every message, and all documents, no matter how brief the response. While those around me continued with their routines, I couldn't shake the feeling of being in the glaring spotlight. I pictured Jane Morgan in a sleek, glass-walled office, poised to compose an email to HR. The moment played over and over in my mind. The water dripped, her blouse clung to her, her voice unwavering, almost too calm, urging me to linger after hours. That single sentence hit like a final verdict. As the clock struck 6 p.m., the office began to clear out. Coworkers gathered their bags, discarded coffee cups, and shared playful banter. I remained motionless at my desk, feigning an effort to tidy up the same folder on my desktop for the fourth time. I found myself glancing down the hallway, contemplating whether to make my way to her office or remain in place, hoping she would come to me. My mouth felt parched. It had been hours since I last took a sip of water, which is quite ironic. At 6:13, I caught sight of her. Jane glided down the hallway toward me, exuding the same graceful serenity she always possessed. Flawless and poised, as if the water incident had never occurred. She paused at my desk, locking her gaze onto mine. "How about a walk?" she suggested casually. I gave a silent nod. With a weight in my legs, I slipped on my coat and stepped out of the building behind her. The city was enveloped in a serene stillness, the gentle hum of life shifting from the hustle of office hours to the calm embrace of evening. Silently, we strolled westward, making our way toward Riverside. The streets hummed with activity, yet she glided through the chaos as if dancing to her own beat, self-assured and unfazed. I lingered a step back, uncertain whether it was my turn to break the silence. At last, we stepped into Riverside Park and discovered a serene bench with a stunning view of the Hudson. The river glistened like liquid gold in the fading light of the day. Jane took a seat. I paused for a moment before settling down next to her, maintaining a courteous space between us. She shattered the stillness. "You know," she said, her gaze fixed on the flowing river. At the age of 22, I accidentally drenched my manager's MacBook with an entire latte during a crucial client presentation. I tilted my head just a bit, taken aback. She continued, "I cried in the bathroom stall for 20 minutes. I believed my career had come to an end." I let out a nervous chuckle. I inquired softly. "And nothing," she replied. I wasn't let go. It's easy to overlook our shared humanity, particularly in this industry. I remained silent. I was uncertain whether she aimed to comfort me or if this was merely the prelude to saying goodbye. At that moment, she turned her gaze toward me. "Your dedication is impressive, Aiden. I've observed. While you may feel invisible, I am here, noticing every detail." That struck me more profoundly than I anticipated. A tightness gripped my throat, yet I managed to nod in response. "Thank you, I was able to handle it. I asked you to stay because I needed a break," she admitted candidly. "I had a feeling you would think the same." I was even more taken aback by that. "I rarely take breaks," I confessed. "It seems that if I take a moment to pause, I risk losing my momentum." Jane nodded, as if she grasped more than she revealed. "I understand. However, if you push yourself to the limit for too long, you'll find there's nothing more to offer. This city will consume you whole if you allow it." We lingered in that moment, simply sitting there. Skipped the small talk. Seamless interactions. Only silence prevails, and definitely not the awkward variety. The atmosphere surrounding us was charged with an unsettling calm. Resolved, nearly serene. Then, after a brief pause, she uttered a statement that changed everything. "You bring to mind a person from my past." She kept it brief, and I chose not to pry. Yet there was an unmistakable quality in her tone that rendered it profoundly intimate. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, she rose at last. "I'll see you tomorrow," she said with a nonchalant air, as if nothing had ever transpired. It felt as if we were merely two souls who found themselves sharing a bench for a fleeting moment. She guided me to the subway station. No presentation. There will be no consequences. A serene stroll accompanied by a silent acknowledgement that a change had occurred between us. I observed her fade into the glow of the streetlight, and a realization struck me. Fear no longer held any power over me. The following morning, as I entered the office, everything appeared the same, yet I felt transformed. As I stepped inside, it was as if I had entered a well-known space, yet the atmosphere buzzed with an unexpected vitality. Identical desks, identical corridor bus, the familiar, slightly burnt aroma wafts from the communal toaster that remains untouched by cleaning hands. Yet, Jane lingered in my thoughts, refusing to fade away. Not in an exaggerated, romantic manner. It felt as if a connection had blossomed between us. An area, a fresh perspective. As she strolled by my desk just before 9:30 a.m., she cradled her familiar black coffee and swiftly tapped away on her phone. As she walked by, she glanced up for a moment and offered me the faintest nod. Subtle yet impactful, it struck with the force of a thunderclap. She had never done that before. I paused for a moment, caught off guard, before feigning a flurry of typing. Throughout the day, my mind was elsewhere, not completely engaged in the office. I responded to emails, participated in Zoom calls, and printed reports, yet a part of me continually wandered back to that bench. Her voice echoed, telling me I reminded her of someone from her past. That resonated with me. It lacked any flirtation. It felt deeply personal, excessively intimate. Just 2 days later, while I was scanning my inbox in the break room, her name appeared on the screen. Shall we go for a walk? What's the message? Post-work hours. Identical location. I went through it 3 times. Concise. Laid back, but it made my stomach do somersaults. It had nothing to do with work. No attachments were included. No instructions provided. You're cordially invited. As the clock struck 6 p.m., I lingered at my desk for an additional 10 minutes. I found myself at a crossroads, uncertain whether to seek her out or simply wait for her to reappear. At 6:11, she strolled past. Silence speaks volumes. A quick look at the elevator. I received the message. We strolled in quietude for the initial few blocks, allowing the city to unfold its vibrant life around us. The sky transitioned from a soft pale blue to a warm orange while the streets buzzed with people concluding their day. As we strolled across 78th, she passed me a coffee. You seem a bit worn out this morning, she remarked, her voice soft and caring. This observation didn't carry the weight of a manager's insight. It had a more intimate touch. Recognizing a detail that only someone who observes you closely, perhaps more than they care to acknowledge, would notice. Seated at the bench by the river, she inquired about my hometown. I shared with her the story of the quaint little town just outside Pittsburgh where my roots run deep. My mom dedicated her nights to working at a clinic and spent her weekends at a diner, all to ensure there was food on the table. I shared with her my journey of taking night classes while freelancing on the side to earn my degree. She remained silent. She simply absorbed every word. She shared her experiences from her initial years in New York. Her experience of sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 roommates. She once dashed out of a client meeting in the middle of a pitch, overwhelmed by a panic attack. I found myself in a bookstore, tears streaming down my face for the next hour, she confessed, a hint of laughter escaping her lips. I purchased a notebook and began to sketch out fresh ideas. In that instant, she truly came alive for me. Not an unattainable icon in high heels and tailored jackets, but a woman who had battled her way to her current position. Our paths crossed once more just 2 days later. Once more that Friday. With every instance, it became increasingly effortless. The walks evolved into a phenomenon. Silent yet unwavering. I kept it to myself. She didn't either. It was more than just office chatter. That wasn't even appropriate for a workplace setting. It belonged solely to us. She shared her passion for classic films with me. I confess that I occasionally relied on earplugs at night as the city sounds were still unfamiliar to me. We shared a laugh. We indulged in street food together. With a playful tone, she once chided me for forgetting to bring an umbrella while navigating the city. One evening, as we settled into our familiar spot, she looked at me with a gentle softness in her expression that was entirely new to me. "This isn't something I typically do," she remarked. I blinked. What should I do? Invite others in. Speak in this manner. Trust doesn't come easily for me. I took a deep breath. That resonated profoundly within me. I understood her message perfectly. I responded with the same sentiment. No, not at all. Our eyes locked for a moment that lingered just a heartbeat too long. Not in a romantic sense. Not quite. Yet an undeniable presence lingered. Something that remained unnamed for both of us. She rose, delicately sweeping away non-existent lint from her coat. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Aiden. Her voice carried a lightness, yet that moment lingered heavily in my chest throughout the night. The following days flew by in a whirlwind of spreadsheets, phone calls, and neglected lunches left half-eaten at my desk. Since that night, Jane and I hadn't walked together again. Yet her presence in the office now felt more substantial, as if an unspoken connection pulsed between us, unnoticed by everyone else. Our conversations were limited to essentials, yet each glance conveyed a deeper meaning. An unspoken connection. My awareness of her was heightened, and I sensed she felt the same. Then, on Thursday, everything changed. At approximately 4:45 p.m., just as I was beginning to wind down for the day, a Slack message popped up. This is not an email. This is not a forwarded file. A straightforward message from her on Slack. "Jay Morgan, could you swing by my office before you leave?" I gazed at it for a moment. My heart raced, lodging itself in my throat. Did I make a mistake? Could this be the conclusion? Was she about to reveal that all our walks and talks had crossed a boundary? I gathered my courage and responded with a message. Myself. Absolutely. I'm on my way. As I approached, I noticed her office door was slightly ajar. She glanced up from her laptop and motioned for me to enter. Expressionless, simply serene. "The door has been closed." I certainly did. That intensified the gravity of the situation. She folded her hands and said, "I'm not going to pretend this isn't unusual. I was thinking it would be great to go out for dinner tonight. What do you say?" This is not related to work. Simply a dialogue. I stood still, unable to move. She must have noticed the panic on my face because she quickly added, "You can say no. I see how this may appear. Please, take your time and don't feel any pressure." I felt no pressure at all. I felt an undeniable pull. It felt as though something I had been trying to overlook was finally emerging into the open. I could no longer turn a blind eye to it. "Understood." I spoke, softer than I intended. "Absolutely. I would appreciate that." We departed on our own. After a brief 10-minute pause, I made my way to the charming Italian restaurant just 2 blocks from the office. It was her suggestion. The lasagna was described as amazing. She showed up 5 minutes after I did, wearing the same blazer from the office. However, her hair was flowing freely. I had never viewed it from that perspective before. It gave her a more delicate appearance. Equally professional, simply more authentic. The ambience of the restaurant was softly illuminated. A venue where candles are thoughtfully placed on the tables, ready to create an inviting ambience. The soft, melodic strains of jazz played gently in the background. A bottle of wine was ordered by us. She poured it out. "You appear to be a bit anxious," she remarked. "I confess I am." At last, she smiled. "Same here." Our conversation lasted for more than an hour. Skip the corporate jargon, free from office politics. Simply life. Her unsuccessful first marriage. The challenging dynamics I share with my father. She shared with me the story of her garden. She stored it on the rooftop of her building. I shared with her the story of the quaint old bookstore where I would seek refuge whenever the world became overwhelming. As dessert arrived, the atmosphere shifted. We were more than just colleagues enjoying a meal together. We were 2 individuals beginning to perceive each other beyond mere labels, beyond mere roles. As we stepped outside, the night enveloped us in a cool, serene embrace. She paused at the corner, uncertainty lingering in the air. "I have no idea what this is," she murmured gently. "Yet I understand that it doesn't seem incorrect." I gave a nod. "Absolutely. Same here." We lingered for a moment, perhaps a heartbeat longer than necessary. No kiss was exchanged. All boundaries respected. An unspoken connection gradually unfolding between us. As I strolled home, my hands tucked comfortably in my pockets, a curious smile played on my lips. Uncertainty loomed as I pondered the unfolding events. For the first time since relocating to the city, everything felt truly aligned. A week had passed since that night. A week filled with fleeting glances, uncomfortable pauses, and unvoiced sentiments lingering between Jane and me. Everything has changed. Yet, in reality, everything remained the same. We continued to collaborate. We continued to hold our regular team meetings. They continued to cross paths in the hallway, sharing friendly greetings. Yet, I couldn't ignore the sense that everything had changed. And so had she. The gap that once separated us has vanished in the most surprising manner. I found myself uncertain about our position. It felt like we were both hesitant to put a label on it, paralyzed by the fear of crossing a boundary that could unravel it all. The pressure was overwhelming, and I sensed myself gradually coming apart at the seams. It was on a particular afternoon that it occurred. It was a Wednesday, and all felt just as it should. As I sat at my desk, sifting through emails, I caught a glimpse of Jane passing by my cubicle, our eyes locking for a fleeting moment. She kept going. No comment was made. Yet that fleeting instant, that spark of connection, proved to be sufficient. I found it challenging to concentrate on my tasks. Thoughts of her kept swirling in my mind, embracing the unknown, to the way she gazed at me with that enchanting smile during dinner that night. As the clock approached 5 p.m., my phone vibrated with a notification. A message from Jane. "Jane Morgan, I'd like to have a conversation with you. Would you be able to meet up after work?" I gazed at the message for a few moments, a wave of anxiety churning in my stomach. What was on her mind to discuss? Is this all there is? Would the moment come when everything we shared would come undone? That night keeps replaying in my mind. The way she made me feel truly acknowledged. For the first time in ages, I was entirely true to myself. At this point, I found myself questioning whether this was something she truly wished to pursue or if I had completely misread the situation. I responded, making an effort to steady my nerves. Is it me? Absolutely. Where is it? She provided a location. A serene cafe just a stone's throw from the office. The fact that it was a place we had never discussed only heightened my curiosity. I departed the office ahead of schedule and made my way over, holding on to the hope that perhaps this time everything would fall into place. The cafe exuded a warm ambience, featuring a handful of tables nestled in a charming back corner. As soon as I entered, she caught my eye immediately. She sat at a table by the window, sunlight dancing through her hair. It gave her a softer, more inviting appearance than usual. For the first time in ages, she shed the role of the intimidating boss. She was simply Jane. As I approached, she glanced up from her phone and offered a warm smile. It was a genuine smile, far removed from the obligatory, courteous expression she displayed at work. It felt genuine, and it caused a tightness in my chest. "Hey," she said, her voice radiating warmth. "We appreciate your presence." I took a seat opposite her, attempting to maintain a relaxed demeanor, yet my heart was pounding wildly. "Absolutely. What's happening?" She paused briefly before finding her words. "I've been reflecting on our journey, on all that we've experienced together, and I believe it's time for us to have a conversation about it." Absolutely. The atmosphere was charged with tension. I was attempting to decipher her thoughts, seeking to understand what was going on in her mind. My stomach was in knots. "All right," I replied slowly, my voice wavering just a bit. "What message do you wish to convey?" She gazed at me for an extended moment, as if she were selecting her words with great care. At last, she found her voice. "Text, I understand this began in a manner none of us could have foreseen," she stated, her gaze unwavering. "I refuse to act as if this is merely a fleeting moment. This isn't the right fit for me, and I doubt it will be for you as well." I was at a loss for words. Could this be the moment she decides to distance herself, to declare that everything was a mistake, urging us to revert to the way things were before our conversation even began? "I care about you," she said, her voice soft yet unmistakable. "I believe I want to explore where this journey takes us. I'm anxious about others' opinions, yet my fear of not being true to myself is even greater." My chest tightened as her words settled in, a heavy weight pressing down. This was more than a mere flirtation. Her demeanor was unmistakably serious. She desired this. She desired me. "What's the situation with the office? Isn't it great that we collaborate? What steps can we take to ensure this succeeds? Is it truly feasible?" "I care about you as well," I murmured, my voice almost a breath. "This situation is quite intricate." "I understand," she said, giving a nod. "However, it's certainly achievable. We need to exercise caution." A wave of relief enveloped me. She didn't reject me. She remained steadfast. She was determined to make it work, fully aware of the potential chaos that lay ahead. For some reason, I was aware that I shared those feelings. "I'm ready to give it a shot," I declared, my voice brimming with newfound confidence. "If you are." She extended her hand across the table, gently resting it on mine. The touch was gentle, yet it sparked with energy. What once seemed uncertain is now beginning to feel just right. We had stopped pretending. The games had come to an end. "Eliminate the uncertainty. You're not alone in your fear, Aiden," she said, gently squeezing my hand. "I'm done dwelling in the realm of what-ifs. I'm eager to explore the possibilities ahead." We lingered there, engaging in conversation about a myriad of topics, both significant and trivial. Ambitions, dreams, anxieties. The outside world seemed far away. At that instant, the bond we shared was everything that counted. When we finally stepped out of the cafe, the darkness had already settled in. As we strolled to the subway, our fingers remained intertwined, and the bustling city around us felt just a touch quieter, a hint more serene. This is just the beginning. This is only the start. We were completely unaware of what the future had in store for us. For the first time in ages, it seemed like it just didn't matter. We'll find a solution together. 5 years have passed. It's been 5 years since that fateful moment when I accidentally spilled water on Jane, and I believed it was the end of it all. It's been 5 years since we stepped out of that cafe, uncertain of our destination, yet instinctively aware that it would lead us to something significant. I frequently reflect on that night and find myself in awe of the journey we've undertaken, the extent of our accomplishments. Look at how far we've come. Who could have foreseen that a mere accident, a careless blunder, would result in this? And here we stand today. Jane and I reside in a charming home just beyond the city limits, nestled in a tranquil and serene neighborhood. A serene haven where the morning chorus of birds greets you and the warm sunlight streams through the window as you enjoy your coffee. It may not be extravagant or showy, but it belongs to us. A testament to all our efforts and achievements, all that we have battled for. It's astonishing to realize that everything began with a spilled drink. In that moment, it seemed as though I was merely treading water in my job, striving to endure the pressures of the corporate landscape. Little did I know my life was about to take a dramatic turn. I never expected to meet someone like Jane. Powerful, insightful, and captivating in a manner that transcended mere looks. She truly acknowledged my presence. She instilled in me a sense of worthiness for something greater. In exchange, I poured all my love into her. Our relationship certainly faced its share of challenges. There were moments when we found ourselves pushing our limits beyond what we ever imagined possible. Navigating a workplace relationship, particularly one that blossomed unexpectedly, was bound to present its challenges. Initially, there were murmurs, with individuals speculating and forming assumptions about our relationship. However, we refused to let that hold us back. We navigated each challenge and overcame every uncertainty, emerging more resilient than ever before. The initial year was undoubtedly the most challenging. We needed to find a way to manage our personal lives while ensuring they didn't impact our professional responsibilities. Jane remained in her role as my supervisor. Each day, I found myself needing to demonstrate my worth. Separating the personal from the professional was not always a straightforward task. However, we gained valuable insights. We expanded. Gradually, everything began to feel instinctive. The facade had finally crumbled. We no longer concealed our emotions. What we shared was genuine, and we held our heads high about it. As time passed, a natural rhythm emerged. Our professional lives transformed from mere survival to a journey of collective thriving. We began our journey of shared adventures, enjoying little getaways to the coast and weekend escapes in the mountains. Only the two of us, we covered it all. Our aspirations, our anxieties, our visions for what lies ahead. After 3 wonderful years together, I popped the question to Jane. It was nothing out of the ordinary. It was a serene evening at home, with dinner illuminated by the soft glow of candlelight, and a ring I had carefully chosen after weeks of thoughtful consideration to find the ideal one. I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me, feeling more anxious than I ever have before. Yet I was certain beyond any question that she was the one. Life without her is simply unimaginable. When she said yes, it was as if a tremendous burden had been lifted from my shoulders. This was genuine. This belonged to us. We tied the knot in an intimate ceremony, embraced by our nearest and dearest. While it may not have been a grand affair, it was absolutely ideal for us. That day was filled with joy as I watched her walk down the aisle, a smile spreading across my face, fully aware that I had found my perfect match, the woman destined for me. Fast forward 5 years and we've crafted a life together. We've created our own little family, complete with a dog we welcomed into our home last year, and excitingly, a baby on the way. The expression on Jane's face when we discovered we were expecting is still vivid in my memory. The experience was filled with sheer delight, and it wasn't solely due to the fact that we were about to become parents. We had journeyed so far together, and now, we were on the brink of embarking on an exciting new chapter. Over time, our bond has deepened significantly. We've discovered a wealth of insights about one another, embracing not only the strengths but also the flaws, the imperfections, and the areas where we're still growing. However, I've come to understand that those things hold no significance. What truly counts is our unity in this journey. We are creating a life founded on trust, love, and understanding. As I sit in our cozy living room with Jane beside me, I reflect on our journey together, the challenges we've faced, the obstacles we've conquered, and the love we've discovered in the most surprising corners of life. It was a challenge. It wasn't flawless. Yet it was undeniably real. Ultimately, that's what truly counts. 5 years back, this was beyond my wildest dreams. However, at this moment, I wouldn't alter a single detail. This was destined to occur.